Hello, it's Dr. Martinez again for Retract-a-Band, right? We're here to do another Retract-a-Band workout. Today, we're here in New York City. It is snowing outside, if you can see that. So we're going to stay indoors, and I'm going to do a workout for rowers. My brother was an international competitive rower, and he coached in the Olympics, a single sculler this past Olympics, and still very involved. So we were talking, I thought, this is a really perfect device for rowers. So we have our Retract-a-Band, but you know what? We have a brand new one, which is red, white, and blue. Go national teams, right? So go red, white, and blue. And so we're going to use that one today, right? Nice and long. You see the white locking mechanisms, the blue handles, and the red band, of course. So let's get started. Warm-ups are always very important. If you know me, you know I like to get your tissues warmed up before you do an exercise. And my brother, his name is James Martinez, said that, this would be a really great warm-up to do with the Retract-a-Band. Very, very simple. And remember that this thing is so light and so compact that you can sort of tighten it up and it can go right into your gym bag. That way you have it all the time. And he suggested that it would be a really good warm-up before you do the ergometer. So, all right, so it's nice and compact. You have the magnets on the back side. Stick it together, throw it in your gym bag, or you can stick it in your pocket. It's really easily there, and it's light, so it can go with you anywhere you want. All right, so let's get back to the warm-up. You're gonna crack it open like that, open up the locking mechanism, pull it a little longer, snap that shut, open up the other side, pull it longer, snap that shut so it's nice and secure. If you put the band around the bottom of your feet, you get into that nice tight rowing motion where you sort of lean forward. You guys know it better than I, you're the experts. All right, and then what you can do is you can sort of pull back with your back and pull up, turn those hands, come on back, then up, pull back, turn those hands, come back up. And he suggested that you do a little bit of these just before your ergometer, right? You guys are better at the technique than I am, but I know the Retract-a-Band. Right? He said my shoulders were a little too high, so you probably can notice that. You can also just do some of these to get your arms warmed up, right? Or sometimes you can just do the legs. You guys are really good at this, right? But this Retract-a-Band really sort of is a game changer for you. So do a few minutes of warm-ups, and the Retract-a-Band is perfect for that. And then I think you should do a couple stretches. My brother suggested that's a really good idea. And one of the stretches is to have your legs straight out like this. And you all know this because you use your back so much. Those paraspinals all the way up to your neck and your head and all the way down to your pelvis need to be stretched out because yours are very strong and they need some stretching. So allowing the Retract-a-Band to pull you down, leaning forward, head down, and just really sort of feel that stretch. Remember, stretches are done for a pure 20 to 30 seconds. I'm going to pick my head up, but you don't. Right? And you want to make sure that you feel that stretch in your back and your neck, all the way up those paraspinal muscles to make sure they're nice and long. Good. Feels good. Good. You guys do lots of stretches, so I know you know the stretches. I want to go over two more before we get into the exercises. Bring the Retract-a-Band back up. You can pop it, slide it in. This one can slide in nicely. Snap it shut, pop it, slide it in, snap it shut. I'm going to put it to the side over here for a second. Okay. You grab those oars, so you're grabbing things in your hands. We do a lot of things grabbing these days. And so I know you're not holding those tightly, but you're holding them and you really do have to move them. So stretching those muscles of the hand and the ventral side of the forearm is important. This is an easy one. Hands together. Heels of the hands go down, pushing down while the elbows go out. Keep your shoulders down. You're going to feel that stretch. Remember 30 seconds. I say 30 seconds because people count fast. So make sure you get those perfect 20 to 30 seconds in there. Good. That way the tissues actually change length. Good. Now, when you turn the oar and you pop your wrist up like this, that uses the muscles of the forearm on top, the dorsal side. So you just do the opposite. You put the backs of your hands together. Your fingers don't have to touch. This time you pull up, bring those shoulders down and the elbows down. Don't let that happen. Keep them together. Hold for 30 seconds. So after your warm up with the Retract-a-Band, very, very simple. Do a couple stretches. You all know more stretches that you need to do before you get back on that ergometer. We're going to do about 14 different types of exercises. I like to keep stretches and exercises in different columns because they have different parameters. You notice the stretches we hold for 30 seconds. The exercises you do in sets of repetitions. So you guys know that you're great exercisers. All right, let's get back to lats, right? So you know that you use the latissimus dorsi muscle on both sides, but I think rowers also use the middle trapezius muscle. So going back to the red, white, and blue, go national teams, right? You pop it open. Let's get it back to that longer length. Pop open the locking mechanism, snap it shut, pop it open, easy peasy, pull it out, snap it shut. Okay, if you take the band and put it around the arches of your legs, your feet, excuse me, and straighten out your knees. Right, so from here, right, you have that nice pull. The latissimus dorsi muscle in your back attached to your shoulder pulls your shoulder into extension, we call it. So you pull straight back. Now that's not how you row, but I do know that those muscles are highly involved in your rowing technique. This is a great exercise. You all do a lot of this, right? Not this particular movement, but use this muscle a lot. So I know that it's very strong. And so keeping it strong is key, particularly if you don't have a chance to do any rowing on the water or you can't get to the gym for the ergometer. So I think doing more repetitions of this for you is probably smart, right? Although you do a lot of repetitions when you're on the water. The second muscle is the same exercise. So you're going to do a couple sets of 10, maybe 12, maybe 20, right? Is to pop those elbows out. Now this looks more familiar for you, right? Then you come in, you pull those arms up, right? I know your back is involved, but we're doing an exercise for your middle trapezius, so we're not getting the legs or the back involved in this. Once you get the back involved, then you lessen the need for the middle trapezius. It still works, but it's got a lot of help. This is going to exercise it stronger. Good. And then, of course, you guys do that. Right. My shoulders are probably too high. That was one of the things, oops, excuse me, that my brother recommended that I keep my shoulders down. Okay. And you may have noticed that you're also getting a bicep. Your elbows are bending. That is a bicep exercise. So you can stay here and just do biceps. So the middle trapezius is holding, the lats are working, and you're just bending the elbow back and forth to get biceps. Couple sets of 10, 12, rowers 15, 20. Good exercise. And Retract-a-Band can handle this no problem. Okay, let's talk about a concept for exercisers with regards to agonists and antagonists. Those muscles we're using are active agonists, but you all use them so much that they can be hypertrophied, right? They can be overused. So you want to exercise the muscles, the opposites, what are called antagonist muscles. So in this case, it would be really smart for rowers, in order to create a muscle balance so that they don't get imbalanced, you don't get imbalanced, is you pop this open a little longer, snap it shut, and put it around the back of a chair. So you want to use a chair that has a back. If you flip it around the back of the chair like this, right? You can sit up, and then what you can do is the opposite of those muscles we just exercised would be your pectoralis major, right? Your chest muscle, right? So it's really nice to be able to do this. And those handles feel great, right? They're not going to slip out. Remember to hold them firmly. Hold that locking mechanism. It even has little divots on the locking mechanism to show where your fingers go. Good. And again, you are doing a lot of these, so this is to balance you out so that you don't get hypertrophy and a muscle imbalance by having your back muscles so strong and the anterior front muscles weak. So you need to do a lot of these. And you all can stop the video and do more if you want. It's a really good workout. It feels great. Good. I'm getting up there. What am I, about 15? Somewhere around there. Do a couple more. Okay, many of you may have heard of a muscle called the serratus anterior. That does protraction of your scapula, right? Your shoulder blades. So you keep your elbows straight. See how my elbows are straight? And then from there you push out. So you kind of round your back. Push out, right? That is one of the opposite muscles that you'll be using when you're rowing, because you're rowing and you're really pulling those oars back and you're squeezing your shoulder blades. This is the opposite of that. The shoulder blades are coming out to the side. Again, we're doing these to balance you out, okay? Good. Protraction. These are the antagonist muscles. Good. I can feel those. The muscle that is working, as I said earlier, is the serratus anterior, and the athlete who has the biggest one of these muscles are boxers. Right? You can see it on the side of their chest. It pops out. It has a serrated look to it. That's why they call it the serratus anterior. There is one in the back, a serratus posterior. Okay, woof, I'm getting tired. You guys will be able to do more. All right. Also, I told you earlier that you were doing bicep, right, when you're doing your rowing. So we need to do triceps in order to even out those muscles and make sure your muscles are balanced. Bring it back forward, pop it open. You're getting used to this. Slide it in. There it goes. Pop it open, slide it in. Maybe not all the way on this one. Snap them shut. Put this around your neck. Your neck is going to be the anchor. You're going to have your elbows tucked into your side and then just straighten your elbows. Triceps, right? The opposite of biceps. Simple to do. Good. Remember, one of the properties of elastic band workouts is that the more you pull the band, the harder it gets. That's not true with the weights. The weights are called isotonics. This is what is called a multitonic exercise. The band, as stronger you pull it, the harder it gets, which is really working your muscles out. Oof, I can feel that. Wow. Anyway, so my brother is, now assistant coach. He lives in Tennessee. And he said that, I should point out to you that, I wrote some notes for myself that, I need to flatten my shoulders a little bit. But he was very positive. He's a very good coach. And, was just giving me some tips. He's really the expert. So look him up if you need a coach. He's there. He's great. He's there in Tennessee. Good. Okay. I am feeling that in my triceps. So you guys can keep going and do more if you like. I'm gonna proceed and show you a couple more exercises. Okay. Because you're using your back, right? That's the first thing, is you pull with those back muscles and get a nice erect spine after you've bent over and then really sort of contracted them, right? You want to work out muscles on the opposite side, again, for muscle imbalance, right? So that would mean, your rectus abdominis muscles, right, which are on the front. With Retract-a-Band, again, with a chair that has a back like mine, this works well. So you pop it open, make it just a little bit longer, and you can keep it as tight or as long as you need in order to challenge yourself. You pop it around the back again. I got it around the back of the chair. Whoa! And then I'm holding it right here to my chest. You can even cross it over for those of you who are really strong. And then just curl down. It's like a curl up, but with resistance. The band, right, you're really tugging. You notice I'm seated at the front edge of the chair. That's going to give me even a stronger resistance. Right? And you know these abdominal muscles are very strong. So you can do easily sets of 4, 5 sets, and each set has, you can do 20 reps, right? Because you are so strong in your back, rowers, you need to make sure that your abdominals in front are just as strong so that you have a nice balanced core. Good. Ooh, I can feel that. Yes. Good. Okay, so again, do lots of these. All right, very good for you, easy to do. Of course, you can do your sit-ups, and you can do all kinds of other core work, but we're working with Retract-a-Band today, and that's a really simple one that you can do with your Retract-a-Band. All you need is a back of a chair, a pole, something to anchor it. Good. Okay, I'm going to pull it back off the chair, right? I'm going to shorten it a little bit. So we're getting good at this now. Pop it open, let it slide in, snap it shut, pop it open, let it slide in. Just a little bit on this one, snap it shut. You'll get a good feel for it. You notice I'm getting really good. So neck, your neck muscles need to be strong, but sometimes, right, when you're pulling in that boat, if you don't have good technique, you're going to get some strain to the neck muscles. So we want to make sure they're really strong. You can take this Retract-a-Band, put it around the back of your head, not your neck on this end, but the back of your head. Hold those elbows in tight and your hands in tight, and retract the neck, right? Notice that I'm not doing a backward bend. A backward bend would be that. I'm doing a retraction. After you do a set of 15 or 20, you can just hold it, right? That's gonna strengthen the muscles in a good postural position. And I know when you're pulling, right, on the oars, you really have to keep that posture exactly right to be the most efficient that you possibly can. My brother was always about efficiency, still is, and he really coaches his rowers to be highly efficient on the water. That feels good, strong. You're getting a little tricep too because you're holding this and a little bit in your shoulders, so it's a good overall workout. So don't forget your neck. All right, you can proceed and continue on. All right, don't forget that you are using your wrists, right? That's why we stretch them out. So one of the things that you can do with the Retract-a-Band is you can use it by stepping on the band, not the handle, and bringing it down to the floor. You can watch me do it here. I step on the band, I pull this band up like this. You notice I'm resting my forearm on my thigh, so it's nice and flat, hanging my hand and wrist off of the front of my knee. And then from there, you can curl. Now, if you have long fingernails, be careful. You want to tuck them in so it doesn't tear the band. And you get good, this is called wrist flexion. Muscles are on the front of your forearm. And this will really help when you're holding the oars. Good. That feels good. Yeah. Of course you can do this with weights. Just using a different device. Remember, the more you pull this band, the harder it gets. That Retract-a-Band, I can feel it, but those handles feel great. They're not slipping out. The band's not slipping out of my hands. Sometimes when you're using bands alone, they start slipping out of your hands. This gives you a good hold, and it feels kind of like an oar. I think the oar handles probably are much thicker, but this feels pretty good. When you get enough of those, all you do is just flip it around. See what I did? Now the palm of your hand is facing downwards. You still have that nice grip, right? And then you pull it up. You'll notice that position. So when you're pulling the oar out of the water, right, you do a wrist extension, That's what this is called, right? Then you push those oars forward, and then you drop those oars down back into the water. So you need to have a good strong hold here. And this is going to strengthen the muscles on the dorsal side of your forearm. Good. And you could time it to rowing time. You could go up, and then you know how long it takes to do, right, to recover. And then, so that's something I like to think about is timing. Of course, we could put it over to the other side, step on it with your opposite leg, turn your palm to the sky, be careful with the fingernails, and just roll that up. And we'll do a set over here on this side. You all can do multiple sets. I told my brother that, obviously I'm not the expert. I'm a physical therapist, a doctor of physical therapist. I know the body and exercise. I know movement. I know post-injury, therapeutic types of exercise. And I know this Retract-a-Band because I invented it. So I like to tell people, you tell me the expertise that you need and I can tell you how Retract-a-Band can fit into it. And then palms down. Yeah, the handle is key here. Right? Feels right in your hand, feels like the oar. I've only rowed maybe twice. My brother took me out in the water. I am not good at it. But it takes incredible amount of athleticism for you to do this. And when you go on the water and you try it yourself, you realize that you all make it look easy. It's not easy. So good. I can feel that dorsal forearm really getting exercise. Good. We're not going to go through all the exercises today that you can do, but here are some really good ones. A quick, simple workout, almost a warm-up or a cool-down for you all. Or something to do when it's snowing outside like it is today. And you can do it at home or wherever you are because this Retract-a-Band is so versatile and so portable. It really is easy to use. Okay, so this one is really for abdominal strength, right, which you need, but also to get that leg press, right? This is a hard exercise. So you pop it open so it's a little bit longer, right? You can put it at the bottom of your feet, and what you do is you lean way back, right? So you look way back and you pull that band up to your chest into that stroke position, right? So you lean way back and lift both legs, and then you push, right? This requires leg strength, and you can make this as tight as you want, push, but also abdominal strength. Push, my hands probably should be closer together. Tell me if my shoulders are popping up, sorry. Oh, and I can already feel the strength that takes. Good, right? Having the legs in the air really requires your abdominal muscles to hold up your trunk so that you can stabilize and move those legs. Then you can make this as tight as you need in order to really get that leg workout. That's something you do. You push really hard with your legs, probably more so than even your back. And you all need that leg strength in your quads and your glutes in order to do that. I'm going to show you the sideways look to this so you can see it from the side. So if you turn sideways, right? Mine was a little loose, so I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. Good. Same thing. Wrap it around the arches of your foot. Lean back, arms to here, right? And then you push. See that? Push. My core abdominals are working very hard. I'm stabilizing. My shoulders are probably too high, as my brother told me. Good. And you really get abdominals, you get quads, you get glute max. Good. And you guys just go at it. And isn't that great that you can use this Retract-a-Band to do it? This thing is versatile, right? So going through some of these exercises, and I would love to see you guys sort of post some videos or some photos of doing some other rower exercise. That would be great. My brother would love it too. So I just wanted to go through that. We're finished with our workout. Simple little one you can do. It's a warm-up. Put this in your bag. right? Just slide it in, there it is. Slide it in, there it is. Snap it shut. And just remember, in 2026, how do rowers meet their fitness goals? Retract-a-Band. See you next time.